So, you know that it's so bad it's good thing that certain movies have?
And you can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it!
I'm talking about movies like Troll 2, The Room, Plan 9 from Outer Space, Samurai Cop, and so on. Well, there's a subgenre of that category where the film is technically very good. That is, it's got a real cast and a budget, and it's made by professional craftspeople, but it still manages to be an utter shit show.
Must be weird not having anybody come on you.
Well, recently I watched this absurdly bonkers 1992 sci-fi action flick that I'd never heard of before that fits this subcategory, and I just need to talk about it. Welcome to Think Thing, a YouTube channel basking in the glow of its mid-four-figure subscriber count. Seriously, if you have a second, throw me a like or a subscribe. That would really help. Or maybe a comment? It's nice to be reassured that people are actually enjoying the channel and that I'm not just talking to myself here. Though that's not entirely off-brand for me, I suppose. As always, the Think Thing promise is that no generative AI was used to make this content. I write all of my own scripts, and this is my real actual voice. I also read all of the comments, and if I respond, it's really me responding.
He can hear its heartbeat.
Where'd he go?
He knows it's out there.
If there is anything like objectivity in art criticism, then Split Second from 1992 is an objectively bad movie. The dialogue is hackneyed, the tropes are obvious, the baddie and central conflict are ripoffs from other better movies.
What the fuck's this?
Hi, Chief. How are you doing?
Answer the question.
Some of the acting choices are
You'd be paranoid too if you had a dipshit like this following you.
kind of out there, but it's also an incredibly watchable film and a surprisingly good time. Honestly, the aesthetic whiplash I experienced from watching this very polished turd of a film still has my neck in a brace a week later. Okay, first up, the bad. Oh my god. So Split Second is about a tough rogue cop played by Rutger Hauer with a tragic past who's hunting down a serial killer. Except the serial killer isn't just a serial killer, it's also a monster rat-human hybrid xenomorph lookalike that may or may not also be Satan?
What am I supposed to do? Put out an APB on some fucking guy who looks like the devil, answers to the name of Lucifer? Yeah, and you!
The film is set in London in the dystopian future hellscape of 2008. According to an opening crawl, London has been half flooded due to the effects of unchecked global warming. But the effect of that we see on screen is that about half of the streets that Howard drives down in his police jeep have about a foot of standing water in them, and that's basically it. It doesn't really affect any part of the plot or story in any other way. In fact, the lower the characters venture in London, like down near the riverbanks and even into the underground train tubes, the less water they seem to encounter. The premise, such as it is, makes absolutely no sense. Hauer plays a homicide detective named Stone, whose backstory is that he was hunting a serial killer when his partner was killed, and he sustained a bad injury along with a good case of PTSD in the process. Now, in the present day, the killer has returned, and Stone seems to have some sort of psychic connection with him. Stone's police captain forces him to take on a nerdy new partner who has a psychology degree from Oxford or someplace, and the unlikely pair set about solving the mystery and hunting down the scary monster. Kim Cattrall is on hand as Stone's dead partner's widow, whom Stone was having an affair with. She's the damsel in distress bait that the monster uses to lure Stone in the third act. Honestly, professional comedians could not write parody dialogue as hackneyed and trope-laden as this.
Take this to the lab and have it checked. Now?
You got a problem with that?
Yeah, I have the same problem I've got with you. Who the fuck do you think you are, Stone?
Listen to me. You bring this to the lab right now. I don't have time for this.
Don't think everybody's not going to hear about this Stone because they are.
ChatGPT would have written a more original screenplay. Okay, so now for the good. The cinematography by Clive Tickner is kind of great. It's got a grain and a grit to it, and because everything is wet from all the global warming, light glistens and dapples and reflects these specular highlights everywhere. They were clearly going for a Blade Runner sort of visual vibe, and except for the comparative lack of production design, they might have actually gotten close to that sort of look. The synth-heavy score is actually pretty okay, despite the fact that they had originally hired legendary analog synth legend Wendy Carlos. She scored such classics as A Clockwork Orange and The Shining and Tron, but for some reason they replaced her on this film. Hauer's performance is pretty extra. He absolutely chews the shit out of the scenery, and he grunts and sasses his way through the film in his oversized leather trench coat. It's pretty clear that the director just said yes to every single terrible instinct that Hauer injected into his performance. It's kind of a marvel to watch, actually. He's constantly, eating chocolates and drinking coffee, and he imbues his performance with all these, little flourishes and bits of business. Hauer delivering this over-top bonkers performance is a big part of the film's appeal. Kim Cattrall is surprisingly really good as Hauer's dead partner's widow, who he hooked up with afterwards. Seriously, this might be the best screen performance from her I've ever seen. She would be the best actor in this film by a country mile, except for the presence of Pete freaking Postlethwaite as an antagonistic cop in Hauer's precinct. He was seriously slumming it in this. And the great Michael J. Pollard has a small but memorable role as the rat catcher that's pretty delightful. I think a film like this can only get made by committee. There were clearly people involved who knew how to make a good film, but somehow this confused mess got made instead, despite what I must assume were better intentions. So file this in the unintentionally hilarious section of the local video store, I suppose. I watched it by myself and had a pretty good time, but this is a surefire hit with a group of bad movie-loving friends. Oliver Harper and Bad Movie Bible YouTuber Rob Hill have a running commentary you can listen to as you watch the movie, which is a great way to rewatch the film if you've already seen it. I'll link to that in the description. Split Second is currently free to watch on Tubi and a few other places, and it's also on Prime Video in the US if you're subscribed and you don't want the commercials. What are some other so bad they're good movies that you recommend? Leave your suggestions in the comments, and I'll see you next time.